Bobby Fish leaving AEW. We'll talk about this in a moment. Plus, more title matches added to AEW All Out 2022. And what happened when Dynamite went off the air last night? It's all in the wrestling news right now. Less than a year, I believe, after joining AEW, it looks like an ex-WWE star is already done. Who are we talking about, Andrew?
So Fightful Select here saying that Bobby Fish has been missing from AEW programming in the recent weeks, and the reason for that is now clear. We're told that Fish's contract is indeed coming up, and he will likely be finishing with the company when it does, with the deal not being renewed. Fish last appeared on the August 3rd episode of AEW Dynamite when the Undisputed Elite, they returned, and then they turned Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly betrayed the Young Bucks just before the Trios tournament to seemingly launch some sort of program between the two teams. But there hasn't really been anything since then. I think, obviously, with Adam Cole not being cleared to wrestle and perhaps Kyle O'Reilly not being cleared to wrestle as well, things have been put on the back burner a little bit, and not too much has come from that since.
I feel like they've not really been able to truly capitalize on the momentum of the essentially the biggest faction in NXT landing in AEW.
Yeah.
I feel like a combination of things, and injuries being a big part of it, they really weren't able to really strike with it.
No, it's been a very difficult time for AEW and just wrestling, I think, in general this year in terms of injuries, scuppering plans, and things that almost felt like they were imminent to happen, and then unfortunately things get put on the back burner. And it's a shame because I think a lot of people were really excited for this one too.
Now, we don't quite know the full crux of the matter here in the sense of, is this a case of Bobby Fish wants to explore other options? Is this a case of AEW and Tony Khan going, this ain't working for us, we'll let you go afterwards?
Yeah.
I'd hope it would be the former rather than the latter, because I think Bobby Fish is an incredibly talented guy to have on your books. But of course, as we say all the time, those books in AEW are very, very big. So something has to give somewhere. Do we see potentially others following Bobby Fish in the coming weeks and months?
I mean, yeah. I think now things seem a little bit greener over the pond, so to speak, in another company at the moment under new management. I think as well, maybe not just WWE. I think there's a lot of buzz about the indies as well more recently over the years. And we saw Fish in MLW a little bit as well, so perhaps maybe he goes back there for a little while or just does whatever he wants to do. It's got to be very difficult and very frustrating for someone when you're on a roster and on a show that's as big as AEW too, and not necessarily get too much time to develop your character or just display what you can do on television.
Yeah, I think that's going to be... I think a lot of people are going to have a similar conversation now. And I think Tony Khan, it would behoove him to have conversations with himself about that sort of thing. Kind of taking a look at the roster and going, maybe we need... I sound like a broken record.
No,
I feel like every time we talk about AEW, I come back to the fact that I won't mention the roster again for the rest of this video. Anyway, a 78-match card for AEW All Out is happening.
Certainly is.
And we now know the main event for it. It's pretty much to no surprise to anybody. It's going to be Jon Moxley versus CM Punk for the AEW World Championship. Moxley on Dynamite last night gave a little bit of flack to the Chicago crowd for their boy folding in his big opportunity last week. And he said it is an open contract. I'll fight anyone, whatever. There it is. Anyone want to sign that? CM Punk was seemingly coming out to sign it. Then he looked very tired, disheveled, a broken man. Started talking about how he feels like he let Chicago down and let his family down. Out comes Ace Steel, who literally slapped sense into him.
Dropped a naughty word as well.
He did an FW, didn't he?
And I think he realised that you might have messed up because it was kind of broken, but it was like, I might as well just follow through with it now.
You're there now, aren't you? You're there. Yeah, so he got the crowd chanting CM Punk. He sort of helps CM Punk find his fire again. And Punk went into the crowd and signed the contract. That is our main event. We thought we might have maybe added Hangman Page to this occasion?
Yeah, it would have been nice. He's not had his rematch yet for the world title.
No.
Where's that at? Well, don't leave my boy hanging.
All right, Mr. Kennedy and TNA in the early noughties. Where's my rematch?
Where's my title match?
That's a callback that made my head spin. What do we think of the Mox Punk promo-y stuff last night? I thought it was really solid.
I think
Really
it was really solid too, especially on Moxley's behalf. I think he necessarily didn't say anything that wasn't true. So therefore, that doesn't mean he was being a heel by any stretch of the imagination. I personally think that CM Punk is almost being too much of a babyface, that something is going to happen this weekend that finally turns him. Because I wasn't too convinced about him coming out. He's done this before. I wasn't too convinced about him coming out and being like, oh, I'm down, I'm an old man now, I don't know if I can do this. It's not really doing it for me at the moment, so I think to spice things up a bit for CM Punk and for just AEW in general, I think that's what AEW needs, is something of substance. It doesn't feel like it's got that at this moment, and I think a Punk heel turn in Chicago, if that is even a thing that can be possible, as I've said many a time, I think that would be really something good to see.
Now, we had 2 other title matches added to All Out, and they're both on the 0-hour pre-show. Andrew, would you mind talking us through the card for All Out on Sunday from 0 hour onward?
I hope everyone is strapped in for this, because it is this fills up nearly half the page of our news document here. So on the 0-hour pre-show, we have the AEW All Atlantic Championship on the line. We've got Pac versus Kip Sabian. Pac looking to retain his title there. We also have the FTW Championship with Hook versus Angelo Parker.
Those were added last night. Dynamite.
Yeah. And we've also got, which baffled me that this is even on the pre-show, and not on the main card, Eddie Kingston and Ishii as well, which...
I quite like the idea of that being the last match on the pre-show, and the pre-show ends with Kingston and Ishii just punching each other in the face. So
then it bleeds into when we actually get to the main show.
Yeah, so you put the pay-per-view on, and there's Kingston and Ishii still punching each other.
I mean, that's definitely a way to get people tuning in anyway, isn't it?
I think
Which
so.
I think was the main idea in the first place. But then we get to the main card, and we've got Sting, Darby Allin, and Miro versus the House of Black with Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King. We've got Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs going at it. We have the Casino Ladder match as well for a future AEW World title shot. The participants in that got announced last night. We've got Claudio, we've got Wheeler Yuta, Penta, Rey Fenix, Roosh, Andrade, Dante Martin, and a mystery Joker person too. We've got FTR and Wardlow versus Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns. Brian Danielson versus Lionheart, Chris Jericho as well. Jungle Boy and Christian Cage. You're going to have a big old scrapperoonie. TBS Championship on the line with Jade Cargill and Athena. We've got the AEW World Tag Team Championships on the line too. Swerve in Our Glory looking to defend against the Acclaimed. AEW World Trios Championship Finals that will conclude. We've got Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus, to be announced yet, the winners. The people advancing into that match will be announced on Rampage. It's between the Dark Order and the Best Friends. So that'll be quite intriguing. Also, let's not forget Hangman Adam Page stepping up to fill in the boots of Preston Vance and also Evil Uno, because Andrade and Roosh battered them both.
So this might be how we get Hangman on the card.
Well, he's in there. Hopefully he's on the card itself. We'll see Kenny Omega and Hangman coming together. AEW Interim Women's World Championship, we've got Toni Storm versus Britt Baker versus Jamie Hayter versus Hikaru Shida. And finally, as we've already mentioned, the AEW World Championship, your main event, Jon Moxley versus CM Punk. That is a lot of matches.
A lot of matches, and we'll be doing live reactions. Well, Adam Pacitti will be doing live reactions Sunday night. You'll also have what happened at and the WTF moments from All Out in the following hours and or days. Let's jump back to Kenny Omega for a moment. After Dynamite went off the air, he and the Bucks were addressing the crowd. Mother, father, thank you,
Mother, father,
and good night, bang, all the stuff that he loves to do. At least that was the plan. But then the United Empire flipping jumped him again, didn't they?
They
straight in there. Really went to town on Omega with a steel chair. And then Ospreay hits the old hidden blade. I'm a big fan of how Will Ospreay has done a Jushin Liger and found himself a finisher that isn't going to cream cracker him by the time he's 40.
Yeah, I like that.
Brilliant stuff.
And it looks brutal as well.
And it looks great.
It's like the Judas effect, right? With just the elbow, the back elbow coming straight at your face. Like I think it looks so good.
If you're a young high-flying wrestler on the indie scene that watches this nonsense, my advice would be to, as time goes on, transition into a finishing move, which is like just you like hitting them with your fingernail, but do some dance before it.
Yeah, of course.
Save yourself 10 years. How pumped are we for a potential Omega Ospreay one-on-one? I feel like we're getting there,
big time.
We?
I think so. I think it was the right thing to have them compete in this trios match to then, boil the beef, so to speak. We've put the beef in the pan and we've boiled it.
We're sous videing the beef.
But we're not necessarily dining on that beef just yet. I think when we get around to the next Forbidden Door pay-per-view, I think that's when we see.
Would you say we're slow cooking the beef?
We're slow. It is in the slow cooker.
The slow cooker.
We've got it on for at least another year or something.
Yeah.
Get it nice and juicy.
Nip to the shops and come back and the house smells nice.
Yes.
But you can't eat it yet because it doesn't fall apart when you put a knife in it.
And that's what we want, right? We want it to fall apart. Well, do we want it to fall apart? We want it to hold consistency. But we want it to melt in our mouth when we or melt on our eyes when we finally get to view such a match.
And that's a vegan talking. That's a
Big
vegan talking. We'll have more wrestling news throughout the day at cultaholic.com. Case.
Love you, bye.